If you're a BCBA or a parent who has a learner who's struggling at bedtime, then stick around. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 key points to increase their understanding and decrease problem behavior. If you don't know who I am, my name is Gabby. I am a BCBA, an LBA, and a certified behavioral sleep specialist, and I have been working in the field of autism for 30 years. 11 of those, I have been a BCBA. I'm a mom to 2 wonderful boys. I'm a wife, and I also work full-time in districts here on the island, but I still find time to create and upload content for you on sleep and behavior reduction as often as I can. Check out my platform on Thinkific. There you're going to find webinars for BCBAs as well as for caregivers related to sleep. You'll find some free resources. Check those out. Take a look at my Instagram site and you're going to see lots of free content there as well. Let's just jump right into it. If you are working with a learner who is struggling at bedtime and those behaviors start within the routine right before bedtime, then here's 5 key points that I want you to pay attention to. Impact of the visual supports on your learner and the routine. Pre-teaching, focus on the function, teaching through routine, and motor movements. In addition, if you stick around to the end of this video, I'm going to give you a bonus point as well. So if you have a learner and they're struggling with the routine, then start looking at some of those visuals. Sometimes the visuals, although intended to provide support and assistance to the learner, is not really doing its job. So reimagine what visuals you're using or how you're using them. So things like pictures versus icons. Can you change up the icons to become more realistic? That's a pretty easy one. Looking at items versus pictures. So a lot of the learners that I work with, sometimes pictures are really not representative to them. So we use objects to form a schedule. And that might be something that is better suited to one of your learners. In order to do that, you could look at either items on a board or items on a counter. So what are some working examples of how to change up your schedule? Let's look at something like this. You can either hand them something, let's say a button, and then they're matching that to the button box. That could be part of their leisure skill. If you have a visual board, then you might have a small toothbrush or even a little toilet from like a dollhouse, and that could represent the ADL skills or the fact that they need to go to the bathroom. You could also look at things like small items, small toys, things like truck, a crayon, a paintbrush, and that could be representative of the leisure skill. And again, you're going to know your learner better, so you're either going to have those items on maybe a board that they can see and then transition to, or they can take with them and initiate the activity that the icon or the item is representing. If a lot of their leisure skills is really engagement and self-stim, then think about how you can make a representation of that as an item. So a smaller version of their favorite STEM items. I have some students who love beads. Others really are into their poppets. So they do sell small poppets like keychain poppets that could be used on a board or on a counter to represent what they are going to do next. If they like beads, you could cut a string of beads and that could be a representation of what they're going to be doing next in their schedule. Again, the entire point of reimagining or looking at the visual supports is thinking outside the box. What can we do to better support the learner in understanding the schedule? And for some students, it's not going to be a board or a visual schedule. It's going to be something laid across the countertop. So they go from one item to the next, or they go from one picture to the next. So just think about how your learner is absorbing the information, what is their rate of acquisition, how are they best learning, and then tailor those visual supports to match that. Another key point when you're supporting learners who are struggling with behaviors around bedtime and those behaviors occur within the bedtime routine is pre-teaching. And I talk a lot about this in some of my other videos here on this channel, so you might want to go and check that out. I also do a lot of content on pre-teaching, the importance of pre-teaching on my Instagram, so also take a look at that. So when it comes to pre-teaching, there are some things that you really want to think about. You want to build in time during the day to increase exposure to the lagging skills. Skills such as relinquishing, toleration, being able to transition, being able to follow directions. So those types of skills, if your learner struggles with those during the day, they're definitely going to struggle with those during the bedtime routine. You want to look at strengthening matching skills. Matching skills is going to support your schedule. If they don't understand that an icon, a picture, or an item represents something else, then they're going to struggle with the routine itself. Spend time during the day being able to work on matching 2D to 2D, 2D to 3D, 3D to 3D. In addition, you don't want the bedtime routine to be the only time that they have to follow some form of a routinized schedule. You want to find time during the rest of the day to plug and play the same skill set. So find opportunities in the morning, during the school day, that you can also work on a schedule, being able to follow a schedule and follow routine and acquire the routine through the experience of it. Examples of this could be packing up, making a snack bag for school at night, sorting items, helping with laundry is a big one. They could sort socks versus t-shirts, things of that nature. In addition, you want to embed this routine into other aspects of their school day. So when they're entering school, embed a routine into that. Show them that the same expectations are required every single day. But beyond just that, add the visual schedule and make that a match to how they learn typically. So if they're going to do better with real photo representation of the items, then do that. If they're going to need objects laid out on a table so they can go through, even if you have to number cards in front of that 1 through blank, then do that. But do something that will embed the experience of learning a routine into other areas of the day and not just the bedtime routine. Another key point is to lean on the routine to teach. So a lot of our learners learn through repetition, and the routine will give them that. So if you're maintaining good sleep basics in your bedtime routine, you're cueing consistently, you have the same order of activities, then you are setting up that learner to be able to acquire the expectation of that routine over time. If they understand the expectation, that's going to reduce their anxiety. It's also going to reduce problem behavior within the routine itself. And that makes it a lot easier for family members. Another point is include motor movements into the activity. Motor movements will help with the process of acquiring the skill. So consider things like moving icons from one side of the board to another. That might be something super simple for your learner. Otherwise, move icons from the board to an all done, to like a bin. Putting items away when they're done. So if you're working with a learner and they need to have a shelf where the items are laid out, then as they take the item and they walk to, they're matching the item to the activity, but then they get to put the activity away before they return. So there's a termination to that process as well. We're going to go over the bonus point in just a minute, but first I want you to consider taking the next step. So I would love you to check out the free content and other resources through my YouTube videos, my Instagram, and my Thinkific platform. On my Thinkific platform, you're going to find 2 types of webinars. One is geared towards BCBAs, which is a CEU event, and one is geared towards caregivers. CEU event is self-paced, filled with great links, resources, and downloadable materials, including articles to help supplement and support your practice. In the caregiver webinar, that is built as a mini workshop for parents. You're going to come away with how to, and you're going to come away with building your bedtime routine. You're going to have a better understanding of the elements required and why they're required in order to better support your own child. You're also going to come away with lots of resources and information that are going to help you have conversations with your clinicians and school providers in order to build up skills that your child may be deficient in. Now, as a bonus tip, we're going to go over how to reduce expectations. So when you're looking at improving the bedtime routine, part of it has to be, how do we temporarily reduce problem behaviors so that we stand a chance to learn the routine over time? And one of the ways to do that is to lower expectations. So you're going to either help them start the expectation or the activity. You might do 60 versus their 40%. You might remove any low probability response from the routine and then build back up to that. So if there's an activity they're very unlikely to engage in, then perhaps it's not a required element and you can just remove it from the routine. So an example for one of my learners is bath time. They don't do great with bath time. It's hit or miss. Sometimes they will shower well for the families. Other times it's definitely a trigger for problem behavior. So that doesn't necessarily have to be in the bedtime routine. That's something that we can tackle with the family separately. And if they do want it to become part of the bedtime routine in the future, as we improve the behaviors within bath time, then we can reinsert that back into the bedtime routine. Another option is leaning on your pre-MAC principle. So if you have something in the routine that the child is less likely to engage in, but more likely to engage if they have something preferred on the back end, then simply do that. Schedule your activities within the routine so that it makes sense for the learner. You definitely want to keep the order the same. You'll know that if you've watched some of my other videos or if you've taken my CEU webinar course, you want to keep the order the same, but the activities can be changed up. So you have to know what is going to be a good order for your learner as well. It's not just about helping them develop calm ahead of bedtime. It's also about reducing the probability of problem behavior leading up to bedtime. So there you have it. Key elements that you want to consider if you have a learner who's struggling with bedtime and is having problem behaviors around and leading up to bedtime. I want to thank you for joining me, and please take a moment to subscribe to my channel and also check out my Thinkific platform where you can find those webinars I spoke about. You can also head over to my Instagram account and follow me there, where you're going to find tons of content on all things sleep. Till next time.